AIM-listed ECR Minerals is developing 2 prime gold exploration assets at Bayliston and Creswick in Australia's Victoria goldfields. It also has license applications in for several other gold assets in Australia, along with a 25% stake in a gold asset in the Philippines. In the midst of 2 intensive drilling campaigns, the company also made 3 strategic property acquisitions within its prime licensed territories in Victoria. Now, I interviewed former Chief Executive Craig Brown at the end of September before his tragic and untimely death a few weeks later. Since then, David Tang, Chairman, and 2 board directors have formed a committee to continue driving forward the intensive drilling campaign that Craig put in place. I'm joined today from Victoria by one of the directors and also head geologist, Adam Jones. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hello, Alan. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. And yeah, it's busy and still ongoing here in Victoria. And yeah, we're just shocked and saddened by Craig's death. And but you know, we're still continuing on and keeping his legacy alive. And yeah, it's just a bit of a shock, really. It's just, you know, would have been nice for him to, you know, to see what's coming up and what we're getting. And yeah. It was just a very, you know, he was a very big driver behind a lot of things. So, but anyway, we're still continuing on his legacy, and we've still got some of that passion. We got that passion there as well ourselves. So, yeah,
that's important. Yeah, he was a huge character, and he's very much missed. It's a shock to all of us. But we did see some lovely gestures from traders and investors buying multiples of 51 shares in the market. 51, of course, was Craig's age when he died. I'm sure he wouldn't want us to linger too much on his memory because, you know, we're here to talk about the projects that the company is engaged in and the progress. So I'm going to press on and discuss the very latest developments. Before we talk about the latest drilling results from Bayliston, ECR has a 25% stake in the Dangley Gold Project in the northern Philippines, and this has to add some substantial value to the ECR asset portfolio.
Yes, as we know, that Danglei's sitting there with an inferred mineral resource of 63,500 ounces at the moment, and at an average grade of about 1.55 grams. And that's based on the Canadian N1 413 standard. And that's based on exploration previously carried out by ECR in 2014, 2015. Yeah, we're still in the proceeds of securing a couple of more like paperwork stuff, really, and but that's very good. We've been having some positive news, and Craig was actually a big driver behind that and keeping things alive there. And so we've just picked up where he sort of left off, and just been keeping communication with the Philippines team, and just making sure that stake in that operation over there is secured still in ECR's name, and yeah, it's all positive there. So yeah, a lot of things have been going on. You know, ECR is quite committed to the area. We've got, you know, we participate in the local community there with food relief programs, especially during COVID, with the COVID pandemic around the world. They were hit pretty hard there as well. So we're just helping out there and just making sure that we support their needs and make sure that we have a positive impact in the area too.
Yeah. Okay, so that's great about the Dangley project, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the next few weeks. But let's talk now about the latest drilling results from HR3 at Bayliston. Hole BH3DD009 returned 0.7 meters at 28.06 grams per ton gold from 52.7 meters depth on the Maori Reef. And I understand that you've now acquired a detailed understanding of the geology across the HR3 goldfield.
Yeah, that's correct. If I refer to the figure 1 there, just so the listeners can see where, I'll back to the overview map on fig 1 there, Alan. The overview map, that's it. Yeah, so as you can see, what we're talking about there is the Maori Reef, which is the far eastern quartz vein there and structure. It's historically been mined. We don't know any information on it. It's, you know, mined over 140 years ago with no records. Historically, there's been some old percussion holes put into it, and one in particular, which was called BLP 136, and that actually hit 1 meter at 34 grams a ton. And so that sort of created a bit of interest there. So BH3 DD009 is actually drilled on section. There's 3 holes there, which we're still waiting on results for. But our first results are from hole 9, which we're reporting on now, and it came back at 28.06 grams over the 0.7 of a meter. It's quite exciting, really, because it's sort of proving up that this the Marrow Reef is actually on this sort of a south plunging anticline. So if you go to Fig 3 there, and I'll just describe that. Yep. So we've got a long section here at the Marrow Reef, and earlier on in the year we drilled BH3 DD006 and DD07, the phase 1 holes you see down in the bottom right there on that long section there. And from the structural information we got there, from which we're getting from all the diamond drilling, once we reconstructed into our CAD and 3D programs, we realised that there's quite a south plunging fold nose there, which we've termed now the Marrow Anticline. And when you start interpreting the up dip of this plunge, as you can see on the sort of central left of this long section here, it all seems to line up where the percussion hole from the 1980s there, that BLP 136 at 1 meter at 34 grams was hit. And now, as you can see in the center of the page there, we've actually just drilled right through with BH3 DD009, and as you can see, we've actually hit some gold there. Interesting, we're actually seeing a lot of antimony, or as the mineral stibnite, and although we don't assay for the stibnite, we are using our Portal XRF unit to just trace the stibnite. It's quite closely associated with the gold mineralization there, and so it's a good pathfinder there. And so our other 2 holes on the same section there, which is hole 10 and hole 11 there, we haven't got the gold results back, but we're actually anticipating for some pretty good results there, because the XRF is actually saying there's good stibnite or good antimony and good arsenic in the right place on the structure. So so going ahead on that long section, you'll see I've got just to the left of that section we've just drilled with hole 9 and 10, 11. We're currently actually just set up, and the drill rig is probably going to start drilling in the next day, and it's all set up, ready to go, about to collar in the ground, and we're going to start seeing if we can expand that sort of gold footprint. And so it's looking like this Marrow Anticline is going to be it's a good conceptual target to follow up on, I think, and try and get a little bit of a resource happening, and get some numbers in there.
So you're drilling tomorrow. Have you got a gold mine at HR3, do you think, Adam? And also, while we're on that, where does the Nagambie Rushworth property fit in? I'm just going to bring up that slide now.
Yeah, so the Bayliston property there on the Nagambie Rushworth Road sits it sits right on the eastern boundary of the Cherry Tree Reserve, where we've just finished drilling, and it's about 2 kilometres directly south of where we are now in BH3, or what we call HR3 Reserve. So where the current drilling is going on.
Okay. That sounds really exciting. I mean, that gold grade, 28 grams per ton is really encouraging. And if you think the grades from these other 2 holes are going to be similar, then, that's very exciting indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Creswick now. In an interview earlier this year, you were very bullish about the mineral shoots the drill team had discovered at Creswick. Are these shoots found in the land around ECR Springmount property as well?
Well, they should be. So the property at Springmount where we purchased is situated where we did the RC drilling back in 2019 on, and that's actually where we got a intersection at 1 meter at 88 grams from 11 meters down. So it's on the same strike as where we've been drilling this year, and we so we want to follow that up a bit more and it's just good to be on our own land to do it too. It just makes it easier for permitting and all that sort of stuff. And so it's quite exciting. But it sits directly on strike, and the mineralized system goes straight through this property. Additionally, too, there's a lot of old historic mining on the property, including an adit or a tunnel 100 meters into the hill there. So there's a lot of things there to be looking forward to investigating and doing a bit of sampling here and there and just see what we actually got there.
Sure. I think you described it as well as being a similar narrow vein mine to the Ballarat mine.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so most of central Victoria is narrow veins. So, there might only be 1 meter wide quartz veins, but quite often they'll be, they could be pretty spotty gold, but there'd be nuggets in the vein. And that's that's only one of the things I am a little bit thinking about with the sampling at Creswick is that, you've got to have a big enough sample size to be representative and make sure you get some of that gold in the sample. That's the only tricky thing about there, but it's very well known for really super high grades and nuggets in the veins. Yeah. So you've got to be drilling right through that right spot, and that's what I'm terming what these shoots are.
Sure. And of course, all these samples are coming out of the ground and being passed on to the core shed team, which are working flat out at Bendigo to process the assay results. Now, of course, ECR also purchased a third property at Bassett Road, Sebastian. When do you anticipate these operations will be able to move lock, stock and barrel to that new 59-acre property at Bassett Road?
So we're currently using the property to store, we've got like a sludge truck that supports our drill rig. That's for removing the waste from the drill sludge periodically. So we've got that stuff stored there. We've actually moved all the diamond core we've already logged and sampled. So we're storing it there on that property. All of the staff are actually accommodated there during the week while they work away. So we're saving, good funds there, where we don't have to pay for accommodation or anything like that. And, and the other thing is too, is that, the properties in the area just going up in value all the time at the moment. So, so it's a good asset to have. At the moment, the core shed in Bendigo, it's about a 20-minute drive from this property to get to work there in the morning. So it's very well set up at the moment, and we've still got our lease there still to go into the new year before we think about renewing it, or are we going to move the whole lot out to the shed here. But going forward at the moment, it's been used very well for accommodation and storing stuff, so it's saving a lot of costs there.
Yeah. Excellent. Now, Craig, of course, really engaged the investing community by running a social media campaign to name the Midas drill rig. We understand a second Cortec rig will be arriving in Australia shortly. Where do you intend to deploy that, Adam?
Yeah, so the new rig that will be, which we've purchased, is equivalent to about a UDR 1000. So it's quite a big rig. It's a multi-purpose rig, so it can do diamond and RC. But we haven't got any set plans like it's going to go directly to here yet, but I'm sort of anticipating that we're going to take it down to our property in Creswick and probably do some drilling on there. Be a good test for it as well. Yeah. And as well, I'm thinking that where I was saying about the nugget or nothing type mineralized shoots there, like you have at Creswick, I think the RC drill rig will be very, be a good test for it. I think you get a nice big bulk sample and it'll be a good test for that rig. Yeah. So I'd say that's probably where we'll be taking it down first of all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess following Craig's death, the board now are just focusing on these core campaigns at Bayliston and Creswick. I know you'll be looking for a chief executive at some point, but for now, can you provide some milestones near term in the run-up to Christmas and just after for ECR shareholders to diarise and look out for?
Yeah, so drilling will keep continuing on towards the Christmas at Bayliston there at the HR3 reserve. We've actually got 2 rigs drilling there at the moment. One of them is a contractor, and the contractor was the driller who drilled for us at Creswick, and we just sort of gave him further work there. They're really pumping out the meters. They've had 60 plus meters sometimes in a shift, so they're really producing a lot of core. Which is keeping our guys busy, obviously. So we'll be busy right up to Christmas, logging that and interpreting it, and and sampling. So, so we're there's going to be a suite of samples flowing out, I think, from now on till Christmas, and I'd say there's going to be a few lagging ones too after Christmas that we'll release as soon as we can.
Okay, excellent. So ECR continues to evolve from explorer to land and license owner, and hopefully in the not too distant future to gold producer. We look forward to talking again with Adam and the team to discuss the ongoing Bayliston and Creswick campaigns. So it just remains for me to say at this juncture, Adam Jones, Director at ECR Minerals, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan.